All right, y'all, it's that time. Let's talk about VBS registration. We're using a new system called Planning Center, and so we've got to learn a kind of a new way to prepare um, for doing registration. So let's get started. First of all, registrations and check-in kind of work together, and because of that conversation, families will need to register to check in. And so make sure that you're communicating that on the front end. Make sure you register because you won't be able to check in unless you register. And it's just going to speed up your process if you're already registered. Always remember to search registrations by your campus. It just makes it faster. We're going to pull up the West Little Rock Volunteer registration because I want to show you assignments. So this tab up here is assignments. When I click into it, if you haven't set this up, the first thing it's going to ask you is, hey, what's your type? What's your type? You can answer that however you want to. If it's tall, dark, and handsome, or if you just want to add VBS volunteer. That was my type of assignment. Then once you do type, it's going to ask you for area. And you're going to give it one of your serve teams. After that, it's going to show you this screen, I believe, and you're just going to keep clicking add area, and adding them. And again, you can kind of see any on all those, and then I just created a capacity. Again, these aren't necessarily accurate. It's just how I set it up, and I can change those anytime just by clicking on them and then changing all these things. So again, make sure you go ahead and set it up in your area, and then notice up here you got all assigned and unassigned. So whenever I click into unassigned, it's going to show me anybody who hasn't been assigned, and when I click into area and click this, it's going to show me all the options for them. I'm not sure where Baylor's going to serve, but I know his wife is serving in food crew, and then I have to click the green check mark to finalize it. And so, but again, as new people sign up, they're going to be unassigned, and you just get everybody set up to do that. So once you get everybody assigned into their area, go into Manage and click Settings. And then just make sure that I've got all our meeting dates in here. And we're going to come down here, and then right down inside Settings is check-ins. And so if I click Enable check-ins for this event, it now creates a conversation and a link between registrations and check-ins. A great question came up during our VBS directors meeting last night about, well, what if I want to test this? Well, we're going to test this right now. And so I'm just going to click Add Session, and that's this morning. And we're going to go to the time that it actually is and click Save. And now it's ready to go for check-ins. And we're going to talk here in just a second about what that looks like on the check-in side, but that's how you set up a test session. If you want to test checking in volunteers, test checking in kids, that's what you're going to do. But let's go ahead and go. Oh, also, notice when I set it up, it says not printing labels because apparently I chose that as such. Interesting. I would like for it to print labels. I wonder where I made that decision. Check-ins. Oh, let's go edit. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Make sure you click add a label. Oh, I want all attendees, wherever they're serving, and I want it to be. Now, notice that there's two types of VBS labels. There's one based on assignments and one based on selections. For my volunteers, I'm going to choose assignments, and it's going to say VBS volunteer, and then it's going to show the area where they serve. Blue team, yellow team, all that. So I want to make sure that they have, again, a label that they can use. If you don't want to use it, then you're going to choose that it does not need to print a label. If lanyards is going to be all that you need, that's great. But if you want to have a label that shows where they're supposed to go and where they're supposed to be, then you would choose assignments and you would move on and they would click save. And now it shows me that every time a volunteer checks in that they're going to get an assignment label. Okay, so let's talk about kids. Click back into signups. Search by my campus, choose kids, come over here to assignments. Same thing, it's going to ask you a type. And again, yellow team and blue team, because I've got yellow team and I've got blue team, and I want to separate those out. I don't want it to just say kids, so I choose yellow team and blue team. I'm going to go into my yellow team, which is my younger team. And again, next thing it's going to do, it's going to ask me for area, and it would show me this screen right here. And I would add, again, color and animals. That's how we're going to do our team names. So let's talk about the yellow cheetahs. So as I'm meeting with my small group leaders and they've given me their team name, I'm going to click it in, right? So I'm going to create this inside assignments. I'm going to choose, and then the group, and then all selections know only certain selections are going to go into this team. And so I want first grade and second grade to go into the yellow teams. Boom. Here's why this is so important, because once I get all the selections set for the yellow team, I can actually come back here and go into assigned and unassigned, and I can choose auto assign. So again, if I don't want to go in and choose everybody, and then it gives me two options, waterfall and balanced. So what waterfall does is it fills up the yellow cheetahs before it moves on to the yellow rhinos. What balance does is it will even out how many kids go to the cheetahs and how many kids go to the rhinos, so that all the teams have an equal number of kids. Of course, you don't want some small group leaders to be overwhelmed by some small group leaders have no kids in it, and so I'm going to choose balance. But here I'm not quite ready to do that yet because I don't have all my teams entered into this. So you're only going to want to auto assign once you have all your teams entered in. So I'm going to choose never mind. Now, if all of a sudden you start finding out that folks want to be moved around, no problem. You're just going to go into the team. Just like we talked about, where I go in and I choose area, and if I'm in the yellow cheetahs rather than unassigned, and I can just change which group they're going to be in so they can be with their friend or whatever. My plan is night one, I'm going to keep a pad of paper, and as I'm changing people around, I'm just going to write the name and the new group, and I'm just going to do it analog. That first night, so that I'm not slowing up check-in. I'm just going to say, hey, stay together in a group, and then tell them to go to that same group, and then I'm going to make the change after everybody's gone so it doesn't slow my lineup. So that's my plan. But again, once I've got everybody assigned, I come back into manage and choose settings. And come down here, and it seems like I've already enabled check-ins. Now again, let's talk about these labels. If you don't want to take the time ahead of time to do assignments, or that's not what you want to show, you don't want to show the actual which small group they're a part of, then you're going to choose the selections tool, because the selections tool is now going to be very comparable to what you're used to, which is going to show first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, so that it just shows the grade, and then you can just assign people as they show up to the small group area. If that's the way you want to do it, great. Then you're just going to choose selections rather than assignments. I'm going to assign ahead of time, so I'm going to choose assignments. Those are the two options there. So again, there you go. That's how we're going to do assignments and enable check-in inside of registrations. But now let's click over to check-ins and let's talk about getting things started. First things, let's talk about hardware. Okay, actually, let's stay here real quick. Let's talk about hardware. You can't see my face. I'm sorry about that, so you're just going to have to listen to my voice. Campus Development has graciously agreed to help us with hardware so that nobody has to Nobody has to disconnect their hardware from their check-in stations, because then campus development gets called on Saturday as you're trying to get it all to work again. Instead, they're going to show up on the front end and bring 2 printers, help you get set up. You may or may not, we'll communicate this as the time approaches, have to provide a computer for each of those check-in stations, whether it's somebody's Mac laptop or a different computer, or they may actually be able to provide the computer. They're trying to figure that out based upon their budget. But they will bring that up, get you set up so that you'll have 2 printing stations. And then let's talk about how you're going to use those printing stations. I say printing stations because one of the cool things about planning center check-ins is that any device, an iPad, an iPhone, a laptop, any device that can download the check-in app can become a check-in station. They can then print to any other check-in station. So when campus development provides that print station, you can set up a number of check-in stations to print to that station that they set up. So let's talk about how to do that. Again, any device that you get will have, as you load it, will have this QR code, but we're going to choose more options and get this code. And so I'm just going to go ahead and copy it and then click right here in this place, launch station. And again, if you don't have the ability to do this and you need the help, either ask campus development or we can get you that ability. I'm going to copy the code into here. When you're naming the station, make sure that you name it first with your campus abbreviation so that it keeps all your check-in devices together. And then name the device. Go ahead and do self all events quick station, and I'll show you how to make the changes once you get started. You're going to go ahead and create station. Boop. Code found. You bet. Let's create it. Boom. Bam. Magic. The magic happened. And now you can see that it's asking me which event I want to do. Now again, I'm going to click into this little icon right here. Again, any device will have this little gear. And I'm going to type in my code. You should have a code that will get you in. If not, reach out to me and I'll give it to you. And now here's what I want to do. And we can't set up a quick station for this because whenever I choose roster, it's going to ask me, get the roster from where? And you can see that down here are registrations. And so now I want to do, let's do volunteers. Okay. So when I choose volunteers, boop. And so you can also see that I'm going to have to set some check-in stations for volunteers and some for kids. But again, any phone, any iPad, it'll all print to the same printer. I can have them side by side if I want to. Now notice that it says print to self. That means that it's going to print to a printer connected to this device. Well, if I don't have a printer connected to it, then I can scroll down here and I bet there's going to be some devices called VBS. That would be my guess is what we're going to do. And you're going to know which VBS device. Campus development will tell you this, and you will choose one of those 2 printers, right? So just for funds, 2.3 is kind of a device that we use to print to at West Little Rock. And then just go ahead and choose the Try It theme. If you click theme and there's one that says VBS, choose VBS. But if not, choose Try It, because that's the one we use for check-in. If we get around to making a VBS theme, great. If not, you got Try It. And when I click save, boop, it's going to change my screen. And now you're going to see all this. Now here's the interesting thing. Make sure your filter is set to all. But notice that I can also shrink it down based upon selection type or assignment. But again, now notice that I can just go, well, the littles are coming in. So I choose little, and then bam, there's Kevin Little and Sophia Little. And the moment now, boom, you notice that after I checked them in, now they are checked in. And the moment that that happens, the printer shoots out these folks who are checked in. Okay, and then the next people come in, go back to ready, and now the Dellingers walk in. Okay, great. All right, click, click, boom. It's going to print those tags out, and you kind of see that that's kind of what it's going to look like. You're like, hey, what's the name? And if they say Smith, boop, pull in Smith. There are no Smiths, but I'm going to check all those boxes, and it's going to give me a little bit of time, and then it's going to kind of spit them out. Again, over here you can see I can sort by first name or last name, but that's the way check-in is going to go. As they come in, boom. So let's talk a little bit about structure, and I kind of wish I had actually. You know what? Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's talk about how to organize check-in this year. So again, remember, we're dealing with check-in stations and print stations. Check-in stations and print stations. So let's bring up a blank document just so we can kind of get an idea. I'm going to draw some lines. Okay, I forgot how Genki drawing is in Pages. So right, one, there's a check-in station. There's a check-in station, but I'm making them diagonal. They wouldn't necessarily have to be diagonal. There's a check-in station. Okay, so people come in. Let's do an arrow. Oh, this is becoming way too ridiculous. People come in, right? And you can have these divided A through F, B through F, A through F, G through N, whatever. They come here and they check in, and the person does this. They're in there, they click the names, but then watch what happens. Boop, copy, paste. Back here, whoa, no, don't do that. Back here is my print station. So they come in, they check in, and then this person says, hey, so excited for you here. Go to the table right behind me, and they'll have your tags there. And the person here is now taking the tags out as they're coming out and putting them organized in organized stacks so that people can see their names. So they kind of take the checkout tag, boom, and this person is now explaining, hey, you need this checkout tag to get your kids back. Go ahead and take a picture of it right now. So while this person's explaining the tags, this person's moving on to the next person. Now, I think you could do 3 or 4 per printing station. Campus development says 2 or 3, which is probably right. But again, they're going to provide 2 print stations, and then you can launch as many stations as you need to. Again, any phone, any iPad, any laptop that can download this app can become a check-in station for you. So again, that's how to organize it. That's how to launch it. Assign folks. If you have run into any other questions about how to do check-in, reach out to me, and we'll get it figured out. If you need any abilities in Planning Center that I've mentioned that you don't have, reach out. We'll get you set up. And as your VBS draws near, we'll get you connected to campus development so that they can talk about the specific details about getting your campus set up with printing stations. So happy check-in, y'all.